Alrighty, going to question B. And if you were in my first hour, I taught this wrong the first time you saw it. So please watch this video. I'm sorry about that. I knew something didn't sound right, but let's see. Let's do the work here. Let's just see. I'm given this problem, and I'm not sure if I need to do slide and divide yet, but I'm going to see. The example or the directions say to factor. And so I'm looking at this and I'm like, well, first, I always want to see if I can find a greatest common factor. So I know that I can divide everything by 3 here. I can. So let's do that. Alrighty, so I have, once I do that, I have 3 on the outside. And then on the inside, I have 3x squared. 9x squared divided by 3 is 3x squared, right? I'm just writing my answers here. Negative 12x divided by 3 is negative 4x. And then 3 divided by 3 is positive 1. Now, just like the examples we did in the beginning of class with greatest common factor, I was going to factor the middle now. I would factor what's inside my parentheses. Now, notice though, I still have a number in front of my x squared. So if I go to find the factors of 1 that add up to negative 4, that's not going to work. And you're like, oh no, I did something wrong. Well, the thing that's wrong is because my x squared is not by itself. I should have a 1 in front of it, not a 3. So in this case, we say the greatest common factor is not enough. It's not enough. So I did need to take out my greatest common factor to simplify, and I still need to factor what's inside the parentheses, but I need to use a different tool. Since there's still a number in front of this x squared, I'm now going to try the divide and slide method, and it will work. I need to keep my greatest common factor out. I did need to take out and simplify, but now I'm going to factor using the divide and slide method with just what's inside my parentheses. So I'm gonna take mental note of this 3 right here, but I'm not gonna talk about it right now. I'm not gonna mess with it right now. So I'm going to factor the middle here, this blue equation with divide and slide, starting with the first step, which is multiply your first and your last term together. So 3 times 1 is equal to 3, right? I've multiplied my first term and my last term together to get 3. And that becomes my new last term. So I'm going to rewrite this. I combined my 3 and my 1, so I have x squared minus 4x plus 3 now, right? That becomes 3. Step 2 says to factor your new equation. So I'm going to factor this the way I know how. This should be an easy factor problem. I'm going to find the factors of 3 that add to 4. Well, the only factors of 3 that I have are 1 and 3. So that's the only one that's going to work there. And I know that my last term is positive, and so and my middle term is negative. That must mean that I have x minus 1 and x minus 3. Again, if you're not quick at that, that's fine, but pause it and find out why it's negative 1 and negative 3. Okay? Step 3 says to divide your factors by the first term in your equation, your original equation. In this instance, in this example, our first equation is going to be, my first number is going to be the 3 here. All right, so now I'm going to divide both things by 3. And I need to simplify. I cannot divide and slide until I am simplified. So this does not simplify, this fraction right here, so I'm going to leave it for a second, x minus 1/3. But this will simplify. Negative 3 divided by 3 gives me negative 1, so that does simplify. And then my last step says to slide. Any remaining fractions you need to slide. So I'm going to slide that bottom of that fraction. I'm taking this 3 and picking it up and putting it in front of that x. So then I have 3x minus 1. And then my other one is going to stay x minus 1 because there is no fraction there. Then remember this 3 that we had from before? All the way up here I had a 3. That 3 didn't go anywhere and it needs to show up in my final answer. Now if I were to multiply all of these things together, I would end up with my original equation. Alrighty, I'm sorry for my first hour class that I messed that up for. Let me know if you have any questions.